What's happening, and welcome to the 24th floor on this Thursday, June the 5th. After 9 long months, the NBA Finals begin tonight, and we'll get into what these two teams can learn from one Mike Wallace. Plus, some pro Nike track stars visited Memphis this week, how they're inspiring the next gen of track in the 901, and a blow to Melrose football, having to give up their state runner-up trophy. I'll tell you why coming up on the 24th floor. Joining me on the show today, senior editor and analyst for Grind City Media, master media mogul of Memphis. It is the one and the only Mike Wallace. Mike, what's happening, man?
What's going on, brother? Good to be here, man.
Good to have you. Good to have you. How's your summer been so far? It's been a while since we checked in with you.
It has been, man. You know, it's. I'm not used to going this long without basketball. It seems like forever since the Grizzlies were done with the series in the first round, loss to Oklahoma City. But had a chance to recuperate a little bit, man. Got some rest, a little bit of a vacation, and just resetting right now, man. And it's going into the draft and summer league and all of those things coming. So it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, storm's definitely coming. I know you're going to enjoy Las Vegas. Does it almost feel better that the Grizzlies lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder when they're now in the finals?
I guess so, because you had a real direct view of what you need to do to knock this team off. They showed you exactly who they are, and it was a measuring stick, right? So when you look at it like that from the Grizzlies standpoint, what do you go into the offseason needing to correct and address? And, you know, again, Oklahoma City is just a juggernaut. They would have made a lot of teams look like that, but we got to see firsthand exactly what it takes to be a championship contender in the West. For sure. Let's talk about what the championship is going to look like. Our big idea of today is the NBA Finals. They begin tonight, the Pacers in the East, the Thunder in the West. Two of the fastest-paced teams in the NBA and two teams that played each other on Christmas Day, actually, in a non-nationally televised game. What do you know about that? Led by tremendous point guards in Tyrese Halliburton and one Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
You know, we know that this is a great team, and I wouldn't want to, if we were to win a championship, I don't want to win any other way. I don't want to go around or go over. I want to go through. You want to go through the best team. You want to go through the best challenge. So this is the best challenge, and this is the best team in the NBA. It's been the best team in the NBA all year, and they're well coached. They just do everything so well. So there's no shortcuts to beating this team.
Staying true to who we are is the reason why we're here, and we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if we changed or tried to be something we're not. Once we got here, we've had success doing so, and if we want to keep having success, we have to be who we are. And it's organic, so it's nothing like we have to think about or force. It just is who we are, no matter the moment.
Mike, when I was on your show yesterday, Grizz Beat with the one and only Jarvis Greer, you had the Grizzlies. You had the Thunder in 7, while I had the Thunder in 6. Why do you think this is going to be a long series?
I think it's going to be a long series because I think people aren't giving the Indiana Pacers the benefit of the doubt that they deserve. They're a team that does not turn the ball over, relatively speaking. They like to take their first shots. They like to get to their pace. Those are things that Oklahoma City want you to do. They want to rush you. They want to speed you up and make you uncomfortable. Most teams aren't comfortable taking the first early look in the shot clock. The Pacers want the first early look in the shot clock. They're a team that loves to run off of makes. So even when the ball goes through the basket for Oklahoma City, Indiana's taking it out and going the other way very, very quickly. So those things, if they can get to that offense, get to that pace, protect the basketball, they can do some things that will make this series interesting. They will make each one of the games more compelling than a lot of people are giving them credit for. Now, I'm picking 7 because I want it to be 7. I want to see more basketball. I never want the NBA season to end. But more realistically, I can understand why people are seeing Oklahoma City in 5 or 6 in this one.
I think I got to agree with you. I think when you look at these two teams, I think pace has been the Pacers, no pun intended, has been their biggest strength. And I just don't think that Oklahoma City is going to allow it to be as big of a strength as it has been in the last 3 series. What I do think with the Indiana Pacers is they've been really good in game ones thus far, and they've had all their game ones on the road, and they've beaten all these really good teams on the road in those game ones. So I think if they can steal one, I can certainly see it being realistic for a 7-game series. I don't know that I think is going to get to 7 games. I'm kind of with you on that one. I think we're all kind of hoping it'll be a long series. So I think this is going to be a fun series to watch. In terms of just the pace of the play, just the up and downness, and the two phenomenal point guards that we watch. I do wonder if the Pacers are going to have the personnel to really make SGA uncomfortable. I think he averaged like 39 points a game over the 2 games that they played in the regular season.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the Oklahoma City Thunder did a great job of making Tyrese Halliburton uncomfortable.
Right.
He only put up 11 points a game in that series, and I think Tyrese has to be not just better than SGA in this series, but I think better by a considerable margin. I just don't know if that's going to be the case.
But see, I don't think those two matchups are going to be, directly related. I don't think they're going to offset each other, and I think that's fine. I don't even think they're going to be defending one another. There's cross matches that are going to happen.
Right.
There's a lot of switches that both teams love to do. I think what's going to be important for Halliburton is that he continues to push the basketball, that he continues to embrace the double teams. They're going to try to pick him up full court.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. They're going to try to bump him and be physical with him. He has to absorb that contact, get to the free throw line, and be steady as a free throw shooter. Even when Indiana is going to be disrupted, they have to have a secondary ball handler. So if you're going to put 2 on Halliburton, take the ball out of his hands, the secondary ball handler for Indiana has to be ready to make plays. Pascal Siakam is a guy that can do that. Nembhard is a guy that can do that. Ben Shepherd is a guy that can do that. You have McConnell is another guy that's not afraid to do that. So you have multiple guys that can handle the basketball and be comfortable. Even Miles Turner, for a 7-footer, is comfortable handling the ball out on the perimeter. So I think that's going to be key right there. Indiana is suited to at least give themselves a chance to offset what Oklahoma City does. Now, doing it is a different matter, right? Like Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they take that first shot, right? Now, if you take that first shot and you show some resilience, then you're right there. And one thing Indiana has shown in round 1, 2, and 3 is that they're a resilient team.
And they've been really good about guarding these really fantastic guards as well. You talk about guarding Donovan Mitchell, although Donovan Mitchell did get off a couple of times in that Pacers series, but they were, I think, in the bigger scheme of things, they were able to contain him. I feel like they did a decent job against Jalen Brunson, and almost in the sense that if you're going to get yours, but everybody else is not going to beat us, kind of thing. I think that's kind of the approach they've taken. I don't know if they can do that with the Thunder because I think the surrounding cast is so good, especially with a Jalen Williams. But I think it'll be interesting to see how these two teams kind of play each other and what weakness they perceive that the other one has and how they try to exploit that. What do you think this says about just the small marketness of this with 2 teams? I mean, you're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indianapolis, which I don't really think of Indy as a small market team, but I guess in the grander scheme of things, maybe it is. But I mean, Indianapolis has a lot going on when it comes to sports.
They do. They have a lot going on when it comes to sports. Obviously, you have the Indy 500, you have the Indianapolis Colts, right? I mean, you have two other major entities that are in that city. Oklahoma City, that's the only game in town outside of the colleges, right? When you talk about OU and Oklahoma State. What it says about small markets is that it doesn't matter where you have to play. There is a pathway to getting to the NBA Finals. It also reminds you that, look, not everybody has to want to be on the East Coast, in Miami, in New York, in LA, or somewhere like that, right?
To the Midwest.
And what it does is that it reminds you that there's still a quality fan base, there's support. People, kind of disparage Oklahoma City's fans being corny, wearing the T-shirts and all that kind of stuff.
We have growl towels, bro.
Yeah, it's different. Right,
can't say nothing about
right. And then with Indiana, they're a conservative fan base, and you hear all sort of things. But the bottom line is that those fans support that team, those teams, and they understand how to appreciate a team that fights. And it's not about the drama and all the glitz and glamour. You never hear about supermax issues. You never hear about stars being in issues off the court and off the field for the most part. And they're wholesome communities that embrace what's going on right now. So all this talk about ratings and relevance, push that aside. You got 2 franchises that are proud, that are pursuing rings, and they've done it the right way.
I think that relates pretty much directly to my next question with what do the Grizzlies learn from these 2 teams being in the finals? 2 that I think style-wise probably they match up with, or they play similar to.
Similar to, absolutely. I mean, when you look at Oklahoma City, they're more defensively dynamic and dominant. Indiana's more offensively dynamic and dominant. And if you're the Grizzlies, you want to take pieces from both of these teams. But what it starts with is a clear pecking order of who your superstar is, who your role players are, and who your supporting cast beyond that is. And I think both of those teams clearly define what their leadership structure is. I think Memphis is still trying to figure that out. Obviously, Ja Morant is a superstar in this league in terms of his elevation of his brand. Yeah. But has he done it consistently by being available? No, there's still some questions there. Is Jaren Jackson Jr. an elite player? We know he's really, really good. 7 years in, it's time to take the next step to be all NBA and elite. We know Oklahoma City has all NBA players there in Jalen Williams and, some of these other guys. Pascal Siakam is an NBA champion who's already done it. And then the role players after that. The Grizzlies are still trying to figure out which among these young guys are going to be reliable. Those two teams know who their young guys are, their secondary guys are. And I think it's just an identity situation that separates the Grizzlies from those two teams right now.
Small market teams stand up. Hopefully we're looking at a Grizzlies in an NBA Finals, or at least a deep playoff run here in the next year or two. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will play the comparison game. Mike will tell us which players on the Grizzlies most resemble players we could see in the finals in this round. That's coming up.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC 24 and 24+. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24+. The 24+ TV app. Streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24+. Complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. The storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
How big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24+. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24+. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24+. Download free on your TV now.
Still here with Mike Wallace of Grind City Media. We're going to play a little game here, once again relating these teams to our hometown Memphis Grizzlies. We're going to play Compare the Player, Mike. So I'm going to give you a player that's in the finals in this series between the Pacers and the OKC Thunder, and I'm going to have you pick a player on the Grizzlies that you think plays like them stylistically. So you ready to do this?
I think so. I think so. It's tough, man. It's tough.
You're the guru, so I'm bringing this to you because I feel like you got your ducks in a row here. First one is easy, but I was very surprised by your answer when I texted you about it. Yeah. Tyrese Halliburton, who's your comp?
My comp for Tyrese Halliburton from the Grizzlies is Santi Aldama, right? And I'm going to explain why, right? I know you were expecting Ja Morant.
I was got sure to go star
for
star.
They're both point guards and those kind of things, but the length, the ability to have that fancy, unorthodox passing. His ability to be long and get to the basket, stop for the floater. If you notice what Tyrese Halliburton did in this clinching game against the Knicks, he did a lot of floater work. He got to the rim, but he also did a lot of floater work from that standpoint. Used his length. Santi Aldama is one of those guys that can see the floor and make those fancy passes, sometimes too fancy, to the point where his players and his teammates don't really expect it. But I think in terms of comps, that's the kind of the look that Tyrese Halliburton has. It's a poor man. Santi Aldama is a poor man's version of that.
I think I actually really like the comparison once you told me what it was.
And once you show these clips, it's even more so the case.
Once I started looking at it, I was like, wow, Santi is kind of long and lanky, does kind of surprise you with his speed and his quickness at times. I think when you're looking at him, you see him as a defender is probably more of a spot-up shooter more than anything else, and somebody who probably does have pretty good ball vision, passing ability. But much like what the Grizzlies talk about when they talk about Ja is you're almost not expecting the passes that he makes when it comes to him getting in the lane and that kind of thing. I think Santi kind of does a little bit of the same thing. And we know that Tyrese Halliburton is a phenomenal passer. So I actually really like that comp once you gave it to me. I was like, oh, you know what?
Yeah. Ja gets all the way to the rim.
Yeah.
Way more than Halliburton does. He's more explosive, but in terms of herky-jerky, weird dynamic, giving you the looks from different hands and different angles, Santi Aldama kind of gives you a little bit of that from a European style.
And Santi will handle the ball a lot for Spain when he plays overseas and with the Olympics team. So that's a really good point. Next, we're talking about Luguentz Dort from the Thunder. And this is another one of those where, I thought about Dort, and I didn't really know where to go with it in terms of video and stuff.
Yeah.
What you got?
Look at the physical build right there. We just saw 2 pictures of these 2 guys side by side. I mean, just basic outside, inside linebackers in terms of how they're built, the physicality that they play with. Now, we haven't seen Lamar Stevens get a lot of primary minutes, but this is a role that he could play. And I hope that the Grizzlies bring him back and give him an opportunity to get out there to be that physical defender, as we see what he did against Kevin Durant there, and sort of give you that dynamic. He's worked on his 3-point game this offseason. And again, very poor man's version of it, end of the bench version of it. But in terms of reasonable facsimile, that's the guy right there for Lou Dort.
I think it's a pretty good comparison too.
I'm 2 for 2 so far.
Huh?
2 for 2.
We're talking about like a junkyard
outside the box,
junkyard dog kind of style, a guy that you may. I mean, I think Dort's going to get paid, but I think when we talk about Lamar Stevens, we were on your show yesterday talking about do you pay pass or ponder? And we both said we should pay Lamar Stevens. You're not going to give him crazy money, but that's a guy that you can depend on. I think to give you really good minutes off the bench. It's a good depth piece and somebody who you don't mind using fouls on.
Right. And he's mentally tough. He's not going to back down from anyone.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. All right, last one. The Pacers, Benedict Mathurin.
Mathurin. Scottie Pippen Jr. is that same kind of guy, tough-minded. You don't necessarily see him coming, but he just continues to make plays when he's called upon. He's one of those utility guys, one of those off-the-bench X factors. He can handle it a little bit. He can shoot a little bit. He can get to the paint a little bit. He defends. And he also has that irrational confidence. And that's what Scottie Pippen Jr. has, irrational confidence, because you can't tell Scottie or Ben that they're not superstars in this league in the making.
I like this one too, but I like what you talk about, irrational confidence, because one thing we say about Scottie is sometimes we're like, Scottie, just slow down. Why are you? He's one of those guys who plays at kind of a million miles a minute. And at the same time, and I think Benedict Mathurin's kind of the same way. But it's like you can't tell them anything in terms of their style of play, in terms of just getting to the basket, in terms of just the attitude that they walk in with. Like if you talk to Benedict Mathurin, he's going to talk to you like I'm the best scorer on the floor every time he walks on the floor. And I think Scottie kind of has a little bit of that dog to him as well.
Yeah, no question about it. And both of those guys, you don't want to harness them too much, because if you try to control them too much, you take them away from their instincts for what makes them special and competitive. Those are 2 guys that will definitely boost your bench, or even put them in a starting lineup they can produce too. They're not afraid of any moment, and they have the skill set to back it up. And they're both defensively oriented as well.
All right, this one's going to be a surprise for you. It's a surprise for them too, because I didn't.
You didn't send me this one.
I didn't put a lower third or video or anything for this one.
Okay.
TJ McConnell.
Ooh, for the Grizzlies, TJ McConnell, someone that's in the rotation that kind of plays. That's a tough one, man, because what TJ does. He's a spark plug I would say Vince Williams in a way. He has that unorthodox dribble, delivery, kind of gangly, you never really can box him into anything. You don't know what to expect from them. They're different pace of players. But in terms of the unexpected, and they're delivering on the unexpected, I think those 2 guys will give you that same kind of dynamic.
You know who I thought of when I thought of it kind of in the moment? Yuki Kawamura. If Yuki was actually getting minutes, I think you see a lot of what TJ McConnell would bring to a team in terms of pace, right? A guy who can get up and down the floor really quickly, a guy who passes really well, and a guy that I think when it comes to the defensive side of things, he clearly has the weakness in being a smaller guard, but one that is very scrappy, very quick, and is going to create a lot of turnovers just with his speed.
I can see that. You got to get. I mean, you're giving Yuki a lot, just like in the Lou Dort and Lamar Stevens, right? I'm projecting really right. But I mean, I can see how that would make sense. Now, if I was going to go that deep into the bench, I would have gone Cam Spencer. over Yuki, just because Cam has that doggedness to him. He has that, I'm going to get up in anyone's face. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to die out here on the court if I have to go get this loose ball. That's more Cam Spencer-ish than if I was going to go that deep in the bench. But I was trying to give somebody who has some minutes.
Fair enough.
From that standpoint.
All right, let's kind of move on. There was a big shakeup in the NBA this week. After making it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, the New York Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. Thibodeau led the Knicks to the playoffs 4 or 5 years, gave them to the conference semifinals 3 times. The Knicks also had back-to-back seasons of 50-plus wins. In a statement, the Knicks said, in part, our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans. This pursuit led us to the difficult decision to inform Tom Thibodeau that we've decided to move in another direction. Mike, were you surprised by this firing? Do you agree with the firing? I
wasn't surprised by it because nothing surprises me in the NBA, specifically this year. We've already seen this happen 2 or 3 other times. Taylor Jenkins here in late March, and then right after that, what happened in Denver with Mike Malone, who also won a championship, and now with Tom Thibodeau getting the Knicks back-to-back 50-plus win seasons for the first time in a quarter century and to the Eastern Conference Finals. This is as far as New York has been since Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby and those guys back in the day. But did it fit? You always wondered, is Tom Thibodeau's message getting through? Is he utilizing his bench? Like, he went halfway through the playoffs without even using a bench. And then in the last 2 games, he used the bench a lot more. So he was searching at a time where the Knicks needed stability. And it didn't seem like it was going to be a long-term match. But if you're firing him, your next hire better be the one that get him over the hump. Because if you go backwards from here, the Knicks look like they have egg on their face if they don't get this right.
I thought with them getting to the conference finals, I really thought they were going to give Tom at least 1 more year because to me,
well, they just extended him last year too. They gave him a 3-year extension.
And to me, to your point, if you go backwards from here, what does that say about what you guys have built up into this point? I think something can be said about the continuity that the Knicks have had where they've been kind of knocking on the door, and they finally kind of kicked it down into the conference finals. They didn't make it into the NBA finals, but it was a 6-game series. Right? So it wasn't like you got to the conference finals and then got blown out either, right? You go 6 games with a Pacers team that is really, really good. I feel like you're going to bring in a new coach in this kind of situation, and it's going to take that new coach a year or 2 to get you back to the stage that you're at right now.
And who are you, if that coach is coming in, whoever that coach is, who are you catering to? Are you going to cater to Brunson and try to do what he wants to do? Are you going to try to salvage Karl Anthony Towns and figure out what he is? You gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is a guy that Grizzlies fans and the Grizzlies were just enamored with, and they were like, wow, let's go get that guy. Well, what you saw from Mikal Bridges in the playoffs and to the end, especially in the finals, that's not a guy that you give up 5 first-round picks for. The Knicks are locked into this roster unless they make a major trade. So whoever comes in, they have a lot to figure out. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think this is GMs and executives being a little heavy-handed across the board this year, and the onus is going to be on them in all of these markets that made these kind of decisions.
Does not matter how good your team is, it seems like you can be fired, and Tom Thibodeau is the latest the example of that. Mike, I know you're going to be locked into the finals. I appreciate you coming on the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me, man.
We'll have to bring you back because you know any and everything. I lean on your expertise. Coming up, Melrose High School's biggest football achievement has been wiped out. Why coaches say they follow the rules and how the fallout could hurt future players. That's coming up next.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC 24 and 24 Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24 Plus. The 24 Plus TV app. Streaming 24/7, local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24 Plus, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. The Storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
How big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24 Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24 Plus. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24 Plus. Download free on your TV now.
Nobody really expected him to be what he has become on this team. And that is one of the Iron Men, quite frankly. He has played in all 79 games, and he started in 74 of them. And so when you have a guy like that, he's been nothing but dependable pretty much all year. And when you have a guy who's dependable pretty much all year, you've got to find folks to fill in his space. Jalen has been arguably the best wing defender on the team the entirety of the year. He's had so many games this season where he has been tasked with defending the best player on the team or the best perimeter player on the other team. He's had some phenomenal defensive performances, shutting down the likes of Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. And even when they've had really good games, they still had to contend with Jalen being in their hip pocket.
I wanted Michael Jordan to come. I wanted Scottie and them to come. You know, they were winning championships in my town. It'd have been great for them to come pass out toys and turkeys and things, but they didn't do it. Not saying now that it ain't a reason why I should, because they not from where I'm from. Right. So it's on me to go ahead and change that narrative. It's on me to go back and get hope. And that's what I do, man, even till this day, man. From Maine to Spain to China, Carolina. If it's a hood near you, TA gonna be there.
So it's always good being back in Memphis. Just, you know, it's home, and being back always feels like that.
It's actually really the more disturbing thing I saw this week. Not really comforting, especially if you're a Grizzlies fan. Grizzlies getting into a little shoving match against the Utah Jazz. Welcome back to the 24th floor. The coaching staff at Melrose High School is waking up pretty disappointed today. The football team is losing their biggest achievement from last season due to a student-athlete eligibility issue. The TSSAA informed the high school principal that they will have to forfeit their postseason wins and return their state runner-up trophy. ABC 24's Desmond Nugent has more on who dropped the ball. It's important to get out the blocks fast in a sport like track.
Get set, go!
That's why Tuesday, Olympic sprinters Tania Marshall and Kyrie King paid a visit to Memphis Shelby County Track Camp, sponsored by the Murphy Track Club, hoping to inspire the next generation of track and field stars.
Oh, it means a lot, man. It's one of my favorite things to do as a professional athlete, come out here and give back to the youth, you know. I come from a lot of positions these kids come from, so to come out here and see them and have an opportunity to come and speak to them and let them know they can make it and do the same things that I'm doing is great.
It's not every day a pro athlete drops some knowledge. Kari Webb is already a Tennessee state champion in the 100 and 300 hurdles and the pentathlon at Collierville High School. She was taking notes as King and Marshall gave nuggets of what it takes to be great.
Oh, that was big. I've been watching them. I watched her at the Grand Slam the other day. I've been watching him too, and they're like really great athletes. Part about like skipping out on parties and stuff to focus on the end goal, that really spoke to me.
So, you know, I had a long journey into where I am today.
Track and field has taken Marshall and King all over the world, from South America to Europe to Asia. They want kids like Kari to know there's more to see than just Memphis, Tennessee.
They have junior Olympics, they have, you know, junior USAs, they got all type of different avenues that you can do to make your mark on the world and start early with, you know, seeing different cultures, different things, and experience different things.
We've had so many great people like Noah Lausch, Kerry Richardson, all these people that are actually really gravitating more towards the media to bring people to our sport. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to be a part of it, especially at this little Memphis camp that can grow to be so much more in the future.
Good job. Finish on me.
In a country that loves its football and basketball, it may be track that can change a child's life.
Hopefully making it to the Olympics one day, you know, prefer like in heptathlon or 400 hurdles, that would be nice.
Murphy Classic will actually be here July 11th and 12th on Beale Street and the University of Memphis, and you'll see some athletes just like that. Going back to what we were talking about before, the postseason wins have been forfeited for Melrose High School. Here's the story on that.
One of the Melrose High co-head football coaches, Gerald Murrow, tells me that an eligible student was a sophomore last season and that they were not aware that he was ineligible until they sat down with MSCS administration on May 30th. A short-lived moment for Melrose High School. Last season, they won a state runner-up trophy. Now the TSSAA is forcing them to forfeit that award. In an off-camera conversation with Melrose co-head football coach Gerald Murrow, he says, quote, "We took responsibility of it on our end, even though it was not our fault." According to the letter, the football team included a transfer student who was not yet eligible to play, which violates their bylaws. Coach Gerald says that student was a sophomore last season, claiming they were not aware he was ineligible until May 30th, while speaking with the school principal, athletic director, and district MSCS athletic director. He came from Hamilton after their season was canceled because of something the coaches did. We went through the proper channels, informed our AD and principal, who we assumed submitted the hardship paperwork. They told us he was good to play, so we played him after about 2 weeks. We didn't practice until we got word from them. As a consequence, the school must pay TSSAA $800 for playing the student in the postseason in 8 regular season varsity games. In addition, the school is required to repay nearly $11,500 in fines. Coach Gerald says now they have a person in charge of paperwork and compliance issues. MSCS board member Tamarcus Porter, a former quarterback and alum at Melrose, says he went through a similar situation.
When I was playing football, my senior year we got cut because we couldn't go to the playoffs. But so this is something definitely I'm familiar with this situation. It's just a situation we can turn a failure into success.
Porter says he's disheartened over the TSSAA decision. MSCS board member Sable Ote feels the same sentiment. As a former U.S. Olympic athlete, this scenario could impact future recruitment.
One determinant, it could be, that colleges won't want to recruit our students because of something like this, or it could be that students may not want to participate in sport.
Coach Gerald Murrow says right now they are working on getting those fines appealed. He believes this situation won't impact future recruitment in any way. We'll continue pushing MSCS for answers on air and online. In Orange Mound, I'm Desmond Nugent.
Hate that for those kids. Melrose had a fantastic season this year. Last break of the show, but when we get back, we will get into the best thing that I saw this week. Stick around.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC 24 and 24+. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24+. The 24+ TV app. Streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24+. Complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. Those storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
That's how big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24+. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24+. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24+. Download free on your TV now.
So my first essential would be the Bible. Over the last 2 years, my religion has become very important in my life. Just understanding that I'm made in the image of God, and in a world where you have a bad game and they're killing you on social media, or, confidence goes up and down. I can always come right here. This is like my peace.
Best thing I saw this week, Tyrese Halliburton in an interview with GQ Sports shouting out the Bible as one of his playoff essentials. In a world where it's easy to be distracted by what the world says, by social media, by being busy, all those things, it's important to remember where your help comes from and where your strength comes from. And for Halliburton and myself, that is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's my show, and I will shout out God if I want to, but that's the show for today. Thank you to Mike Wallace for joining the 24th floor. Thank you to Rich Denson and Sydney Jones for their work behind the scenes, making this thing go. We're back next week, but until then, I will see you later.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 24 Plus app everywhere you stream.